Okay, and we're now live.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and especially members of the panel. We are here for the Environmental Excellence Panel today, the 25th of March, 2021. May I advise everybody present, this is a public meeting and it's being live streamed on the Council's YouTube channel, which is Broadland YouTube, and please obey all of my instructions. I'd like to remind all people present about the general etiquette of remote meetings, and their microphones should be on mute to avoid background noise unless invited to speak. If you wish to speak, could you please raise your hand, or would you kindly place an item in on the chat line, please? So I'll now go over to the committee officer. We'll now conduct the roll call and your declarations of interest. And could you, if you have declarations, would you please state what they are? Over to you then, please, James.
So, Councillor Britcher, do you have any declarations of interest?
No declarations of interest to be made.
Councillor Crotch?
No declarations, thank you.
Councillor Fisher?
None, thank you.
Councillor Kelly?
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Lawrence?
Present, no declarations.
Councillor Prutton?
Present and no declarations.
And Councillor Ward?
Present, no declarations.
And the other members who are present, Councillor Leggett?
Present and no declarations.
And Councillor Mancini Boyle?
Present, no declarations.
And Councillor Murrell?
Present, no declarations.
I see that Councillor Brennan has just arrived. Okay, we'll let him into the meeting, and
we'll just wait till he gets in.
Councillor Brennan, I'm taking declarations of interest. Could you confirm if you have any?
Sorry, are you asking me, James?
Yes, yes,
a little late. My apologies to everybody. I had problems logging in. No declarations of interest.
Thank you. That's complete, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Have we any apologies for absence, or do we have substitutes at all, James?
We have apologies, Chairman, from Councillor Cook and Councillor Nurden.
Okay.
But no substitute members.
Okay, lovely. Item 3 on the agenda, minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of January 2021. Could I ask members if they have any items of inaccuracy or anything arising that you would like to have changed at all, please? No? I'll take that for granted.
I move the minutes be accepted as is, Chair.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much, Nigel. So the minutes are accepted. Now on to item number 4, environmental strategy update. And I gather that should be Nick Howard and Simon Fellin. So over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Chair, very much. So we have a quick briefing for you. Just as a quick verbal update, it follows the previous updates that we have provided. The detail of that will come from Abigail. I just wanted really to update you that we've been pulling the officers together from across the council on a regular basis. As a result of that, we've started to identify a significant wider body of activity, as you would expect, that doesn't all need to be listed and incorporated into the environmental strategy, but it provides quite a rich tapestry of related of project work and ongoing service delivery. So Abigail will touch on that in one respect in particular, but there are opportunities to build, there are very good opportunities to build the action plan going forward. So that'll be really encouraging. So there'll be more to follow on that in particular. One particular note of update I'd like to provide you with is that we have been interviewing for the environmental coordinator. The decision has not yet been taken on appointments, but I just wish you to know that that is well in progress at the moment. So we expect to be able to inform you to follow that we've got an appointment made, and that will be really good news. what I'd like to do, if I may, Chair, is to pass you over to Abigail for the more detailed update.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. So I've just got a short update around our tree target, grass sites, communications, and reducing staff travel emissions. So in regard to our tree planting target, we're now planting some trees on our public open spaces, and Councillor Vincent joined our contractor to see this last week. The Norwich Fringe project have been clearing invasive laurel and woodland understory so that we can look to replant in that area, increasing biodiversity of the understory and also tree diversity. We've also seen the government's announcement of the new local authority treescapes fund, which we're currently looking to harness through Norfolk County Council. We should also mention the achievement of the Broadland Tree Wardens for reaching their highest recruitment ever of 42. So from this it's clear that there's much community interest in the importance and significance of planting trees, which is obviously really encouraging to see as we embark on our own planting target. In terms of our commitment to enhancing existing local green spaces, after successfully trialling some long mown grass sites the year before last, we'll be leaving some areas as long semi-natural grass as part of our rewilding work to encourage flower and also insect diversity. So this involves cutting the grass twice a year instead of 18 times, which works out to be cost neutral. We're currently looking to put up basic signs in those areas to explain its purpose and encourage residents to refrain from mowing a patch in their own gardens or to grow wildflowers in pots, for example. This also relates to striving to use the best environmental management practices to enhance biodiversity, and members may want to look at incorporating this into the action plan, as some really positive work has been going on here. And the hashtag Rewild Broadland story that went into the Broadland News received really positive feedback. It's also been suggested that we might consult parish councils for their views and suggested locations, so we'll be looking to explore this further. In terms of communicating with residents and raising the strategy's external profile, we've been working on a plan to share social media friendly sections of the strategy on the council's social media. So we're looking into making this coincide with national events or days of significance, and this can then be shared by members to your own media audiences and groups. So lastly, an opportunity has arisen to work with LiftShare to calculate our staff commuting emissions and lock in this greener behaviour that we've seen over lockdown. So LiftShare have got past and current experience of working with councils, so their work is tried and tested. This gives us a chance to work on the staff travel section of our strategy and even investigate the creation of personal staff travel plans, which in the strategy is previously deemed to be beyond existing resources. The first stage of this work will be using staff postcode data and core arrival time to our offices and conducting a survey of staff to establish a commuting emission baseline. LiftShare will then provide us with this data on the makeup of our emissions, allowing us to identify problem areas and strive to reduce them. So this initial work has been offered free of charge to us and is an opportunity to take a step towards zero carbon commuting. So I realised that was quite a lot to take in quite fast. So I'm happy to provide any further clarity or questions on anything. So thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, just to forgive me, just to say, as Abigail closes, Abigail's our National Graduate Management trainee at the moment, just coming to the end of her placement, working with the environmental coordination and the environmental strategy. And I would just wish, if I may, to record my appreciation for the depth and the breadth of the work, the really good feedback we've had, the networking and the partnership working that she's starting to build already. I'd just like to record my appreciation, and you can see some of that in the briefing that's just been provided to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nick. And can I, on behalf of all of the panel, also send my congratulations to you, Abigail, for, fine pieces of work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Second that, Chair.
Thank you very much. Karen, I believe you wish to raise a question, please.
Yeah, a couple of things. I suppose I'm a little bit disappointed that we've only got a verbal. We meet every 2 months. I think it would be really helpful to have kind of visual, if that can be simply because it's easier to take in information. Now, we've gone from the action plan into a 5-pronged strategy, prioritization. It would again be really helpful either to use the framework to have a sense of kind of where we are going forward in that and the overall implementation. So we can just get a sense of where we are in terms of progress. And in terms of, you spent a lot of time analysing and prioritising for us 5 different areas. These are not the same ones that you've reported on. So it would just be helpful just to have a little bit of a consistency going forward, how we report things, how we present things, just as a way in which we've got a sense of, we know what our targets are, we know how we're progressing, and where we've got kind of new ideas like the rewilding, I think is great. What I would love your kind of insights on, and perhaps sort of understanding some, I suppose, gaps where we still could do with some, I suppose, kind of policy thinking or some thinking from this group. And sort of, and it would fit nicely within the environmental strategy and what you were saying with the wilding. So sort of, in terms of replacement tree policy, defining kind of what we mean by biodiversity gain, environmental gain, and sort of rewilding, so that we have a context of what that means for us as Broadland in the context of what we're trying to help Norfolk as a whole achieve, and things like this. I mean, and even sort of, looking at kind of flooding and nature-based solutions and how we kind of our role in that, and what that means for us in Broadland, and kind of perhaps influencing, how we can influence some of the thoughts on the planning and development as it comes through. So and also, I suppose it also harks back to your social media. I haven't, which is great to have that as a policy, but I'd also like to understand how, going forward, we're at March and we've got COP26 in November, October. It's being, it's going to be a national presentation in terms of our stand as a nation for climate change. And what would be quite nice is to help us have a strategy sort of going forward in terms of how do we understand our role and our environmental policy and what we're trying to do here at Broadland as a contribution, to that. And I think that would be really helpful. Also, I know it's kind of thinking ahead. It looks like it's kind of, but we're at March, and it's just a missed opportunity if we then don't help councillors, if you like, communicate that as well and understand what our contributions are towards that going forward. Sorry, those are more suggestions and sort of discussion points rather than questions. I do apologise, but it's great. Thank you very much, Abigail, for the.
So would either Abigail or Nick wish to comment on that?
Thank you, Chair. Happy to comment on that. Councillor Lawrence, I've made a note of your points. Thank you very much. I will take those away and give them some detailed consideration. I recognise the point that some of the briefing we've aimed to provide you is allied to the 5 key quick wins that we were looking to bring forward as the interim while we bring our environmental coordinator into post. A lot of the more detailed structural policy development work will of course follow, but that will be with our substantive environmental coordinator in post. So you have to bear with us to some degree for that, but your points, I completely get those points. And in relation to the social media campaign, it was a quick win addition that's been identified. Original thought came fairly recently, so we wanted to bring that to you as an element of progress and to maintain some momentum, but thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I've got Judy next and then John Ward.
I'm happy to wait till the end of the panel members, if you wish, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Judy. John, if you'd like to comment.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Just a point about tree planting. It's very good that we plant trees, but walking around the wider area with my dog, I see lots of areas where trees have been planted, not by Broadland, I don't think, but by the parish councils and different people. And a lot of these trees were planted last spring, and a lot of them are dead now because they've never been looked after. So I think where we do plant trees, it's very important, especially if we're going to have a sort of warm summer, that they are looked after and sort of nurtured for a year or two to get it established. Thank you.
I've just got a question for you then, Nick. With the new environmental coordinator, have we any idea what date he or she will take up post?
Chair, that will just depend on the notice period that they have to serve, but we have the opportunity for someone to start fairly quickly within a space potentially of 4 to 6 weeks. I don't. If I'm pinned more closely than the date to that, I will fall foul of the recruitment processes that we have. And clearly, there are some things that are contingent on the clearance of a new member of staff. But it is looking like a shorter rather than longer notice period for a successful applicant.
Yeah, that'll be fantastic if we do get. Could I just ask you as well, Abigail, especially with the tree planting for, you know, parishes and town councils, you know, we send the offer out. Sometimes we get, you know, very poor callback from them. Is there any sort of time period we're going to set on them to make comments and get back to us?
That's a good question. I think working with parish councils, that will be something that we'll be looking more into in more detail when the environmental coordinator comes into place, because I think that will be a massive part of the planting. So then we'll be able to, yeah, get a timescale in place and see what we can do there.
Lovely. Thank you very much. Judy, would you like to comment now, please?
All right, sorry for the delay. Can I say my thanks to Abby for all the work she's done, and she's really taking us forward. And just to remind Councillor Lawrence that we haven't got a suitable person in post in the job, and that is why you may feel we are behind, and we wish that we were perhaps a bit more on the front foot. But as you hear, we are going to get there very, very soon. And I've just got a question about rewilding, and it may well be something that we could have perhaps. I don't think it's a policy. I mean, what is the policy for rewilding? I don't believe we've got one at the moment, but it would be good to bring suggestions to the next meeting if the chairman agrees.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nick, fire away.
Yeah, Chair, Councillor Leggett, we have the opportunity. We spoke to Jamie Henry, the officer involved in the rewilding. Got quite a comprehensive briefing yesterday. There's quite a bit of information that we can bring to you if you wish to receive that by way of a report, or probably preferably by way of a presentation at the next meeting, because there is quite a bit of detail there. It's harder to convey that in a written report for you, which would normally be for a policy decision. You may wish to receive a briefing on the wider range of rewilding to consider what the policy angles are that you'd like to take forward.
Thank you. I think perhaps we can discuss this with the chairman, see what's appropriate to bring to the panel. I mean, I wasn't actually aware that we did have a policy.
Forgive me if I misspoke. I don't think I was referring to an existing policy.
Ah, right. Thank you.
Karen, would you like to speak, please?
Yes, thank you. I'd just say I think there are elements in the environmental strategy that kind of speak to rewilding concepts and elements within rewilding, but I think I certainly, for one, would value the opportunity to have a sort of a presentation by officers on that, so that we can actually understand that as a whole, as a panel, and also in the context of what does biodiversity gain mean environmental gain, so that there's a sense of kind of then what are the policy recommendations for that, and or where we've got them in the strategy, so that people can make those links. That would be really helpful, I think, because not everyone's, you know, this stuff is it's quite exciting, it's new in terms of how it's going about, but actually there's a lot of principles coming through, and it's not just about trees. It's a quite a comprehensive way of looking at things. And I think that would certainly, I think it would be quite interesting for a number of people in the panel.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for Abigail at all? No, thanks. Nick, Development Environmental Strategy Action Plan, are you doing that, or is there any more comments to make about it?
Chair, I didn't really have anything further to add, except to say that we will be looking to flesh out the Environmental Strategy Action Plan going forward with the benefit of the Environmental Coordinator in post, and that will bring us our sequencing of those activities, the analysis of where we have budget or don't need budget. So I would expect to see that come forward to your next meeting once we have the Environmental Coordinator in post.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you very much. I see the next item, incidental mention of the delivery plan items on fly tipping and ASB. And who is going to present that? You again, Nick.
Yeah,
it's our turn tonight.
Members will be sick of my voice by the end of this evening. It is only an incidental mention, just to let you know. We have fly tipping and antisocial behaviour firmly in our sights in the delivery plan for 21-22, and in Q1 we'll be looking to develop out policy on antisocial behaviour and policy in relation to fly tipping, which will include the review of the various enforcement sanctions and a little bit of analysis of where do we see those sanctions being applied, and does that have any policy implications that we need to bring to your attention. Lots of good stuff then to come. We expect to see a good range of environmental action and antisocial behaviour action that will flow from those policy updates. So that's just to let you know that that is programmed into the delivery plan for Q1 onwards to come. So I expect that you'll be hearing about that regularly, and certainly in April, May, June. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. Any more questions from the panel, please? You'll notice that the actual agenda is quite light. Nick and I had a long talk prior to actually issuing this. There's a lot of reports that are due to come out, and which is going to be in the next few months. So a lot of it is, he's giving you an update on it. So we'll have to wait till the reports are coming out in the next few months. And I would imagine the next few agendas could be starting to get quite meaty. So that's why it is so light today. The next item is item number 5, exclusion of the press in public. I move that the press and public be excluded from the meeting for the remaining item of the business, because otherwise information which is exempt information by virtue of paragraph 3 of part 1 of schedule 12A of the Local Government Act of 1972, as amended by the Local Government Access to Information Variation Order 2006, would be disclosed to them. Could I ask you, Jessica, if you can